What implications does the semi-final verdict have for the big final of 2024? Will the India alliance be able to pose a meaningful challenge to the Modi Sarkar? Is Prime Minister Modi virtually guaranteed a record third re-election? And what should one expect from the BJP if the BJP and Prime Minister Modi were to come back to power for the third time? To talk about this and more, I am delighted to be joined on India Today's news track, live and exclusive from Darbhanga in Bihar, by one of India's foremost political thinkers. He made his reputation as an ace political strategist, currently traversing the length and breadth of Bihar as part of the Suraj Abhiyan. He was in a community meeting early this morning and has now taken out time from his Padyatra to join us. Prashant Kishor, thank you very much for speaking to us and welcome to the India Today Network.
Thanks, Rahul. Thanks for having me.
So I want to start by asking you about some of the questions that have been in the minds of people who track Indian politics very closely. And I'll start from that one main question about the implications of the semi-final results on the verdict of 2024. Nothing is guaranteed, as we saw in the World Cup finals, but to the extent that one can predict an election, do you think the semi-final results make it almost inevitable that Prime Minister Modi and the BJP are likely to come to power in May 2024 again?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't like to call it a semi-final. Because if you call it a semi-final, that means last time when the elections happened in the same 5 states, if you remember, BJP lost 4 out of those 5 out of 5. So that means BJP would have lost out of the final before the Lok Sabha elections. I don't see it as a semi-final, but definitely when you go with the win, it gives you an added advantage. At least psychologically you have an advantage. To that extent, BJP has an advantage. But to draw a conclusive argument that because BJP has won 3 states, they are going to win Lok Sabha is not true. They were ahead any which way, even before these state elections. For any independent observer, BJP was well ahead of India Alliance, and that continues to be the case. But definitely these state elections would have added a bit more psychological, given a bit more psychological advantage to BJP. But I wouldn't draw a direct correlation between what has happened in these states versus what is going to happen in Lok Sabha elections.
What do you think
and
are
I'm saying this both positively and negatively.
Sure. What do you think?
Because, see, it is quite possible that in assembly elections, where the vote percentage-wise Congress and BJP are looking closer, it could very well be the case that BJP would have an added advantage and the vote share will go up. But it can go the other way around as well.
Sure. So we'll look at both probabilities in just a moment. The Congress in particular was quite caught off guard when the results finally came out. They were expecting, Prashant, a better performance, particularly in Chhattisgarh and in Madhya Pradesh. You do your own parallel polling, you have your people all across the country. What's your sense of why Kamal Nath and Bhupesh Baghel were caught off guard by the end results? Because they thought their vote bank is intact, they thought they had a good chance of winning. Some of the BJP's initial internal polls also were showing the Congress in the lead. So when you break down this verdict, where do you think the Congress lost the plot and why?
Well, I don't have first-hand experience, but just to make a small correction here, 4 or 5 months before the elections, I was talking to another media channel, and at that time I said on record that to my mind, whatever little understanding I have, BJP is ahead in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh is going to be a close fight. We shouldn't be surprised if BJP pull it off. The reason being, in Madhya Pradesh, I don't think Congress as a unit was ever in position to fight and win. They may think whatever they might have thought, but they were not in contention. In Rajasthan, it was always clear. Chhattisgarh, a lot of people thought, because incumbents, especially the strong incumbents with strong faces, always gives you this illusion that this person is invincible. We have seen it in case of Telangana, BRS, probably the same was the case in Chhattisgarh. But you have to take note of a couple of things. In Chhattisgarh, Congress was not very strong. Last time they won because of especially this paddy issue on which they catch the imagination, and BJP was caught off guard. But Congress could not repeat the performance in Lok Sabha. If you look at the Lok Sabha election result, which happened after 2/3 majority of Congress in Chhattisgarh, they were literally wiped off. A lot of people said it's a Modi factor, but that might be the case. But reality is in Chhattisgarh, BJP has been quite strong. Secondly, I think Congress has been complacent in Chhattisgarh. They thought that it's just for them to be taking. Second, I'm not so sure about how much this caste-based reservation, Congress making that a central issue, would have hurt them. One need to study it carefully, because Congress's core support base probably would not have liked it as much as Congress think about the issue. So my sense is, for a regional party, when they talk about caste-based surveys, and versus a national party making it a central ploy, might have backfired them in Hindi heartland.
You're saying the Congress wasn't organizationally weak in Madhya Pradesh and therefore it was unlikely that they would win. The same can be said and more about Telangana, where the Congress was a shambles till a few months ago, and their campaign really kicked into life after the Karnataka verdict came out earlier in the year. So if organizational strength is the reason for the defeat of the Congress in Madhya Pradesh, then what explains their victory in Telangana, where their organizational strength was even weaker than what there was in Madhya Pradesh?
Because in Telangana, the vote is largely against VRS. So Congress, first of all, Congress again in Telangana was not in shambles. There was an illusion because in Hyderabad municipal election, Congress did very badly. If you look at the assembly results in Hyderabad city, they are wiped off even today. But Congress in Telangana has never been, even in last election, they were in the close contest. They won about 35 seats out of 117. It's just that after the victory with the political and financial muscle power, VRS, at that time it used to be called TRS, they took a lot of Congress, and that made Congress appear weaker than what actually they have been on the ground. Telangana Congress has never been that weak. One need to study it carefully. If you would have studied it, in rural Telangana, parts of Telangana, what used to be original Andhra, Congress was always strong in Telangana side, especially the combination there, the Reddis, the Muslims and Dalit is a very formidable combination that has traditionally voted for Congress in Telangana. This time there was an anti-incumbency against KCR government, and that helped Congress. And also they ran a good campaign that shows that if you put a good face on the ground, you put effort, there is always an opportunity for you.
Let's
compare that to Madhya Pradesh.
Yes.
Hear me out. Compare that to Madhya Pradesh, where Congress went with the same old guard, the same tactics, nothing new, no new face, no new approach. You are trying to defeat BJP since last 20-25 years in Madhya Pradesh with the same faces, same narrative, same tactics. That's not going to work. Also, make no mistake, BJP, to my mind, BJP's organization, if I have to rate their organizational might in different states, I would rate Madhya Pradesh in top 2 or top 3 organizations across the country. BJP in Madhya Pradesh, their base is very, very sound, they're very strong, and that must be taken care into account before you talk about possibility of them losing Madhya Pradesh. Last time in assembly election, BJP, Congress could pull it off closely primarily because of the 2 regions, Gwalior-Chambal region, where BJP lost out, and also in Ujjain region. This time BJP went ahead. If you remember, in Madhya Pradesh, they announced their tickets, especially in the weak seats, almost 3-4 months before, which has never been the case with BJP. Or usually they don't announce their candidates that early. So they took their lessons from the last time, which turned out to be a very close fight where Congress had an edge, and made the corrections. Compared to that, Congress continued with the same tactics, same faces, same narrative, and that's why they paid the price.
Okay, let's spend a moment, Prashant, on the India Alliance. The 4th meeting of the India Alliance happened in New Delhi this week. In the way that the India Alliance is shaping up, Where do you see this end up in terms of their hope of having one candidate of the opposition versus one candidate of the BJP in at least 400 seats? Do you see it come together, or do you think this will be all talk, a lot of bluster, and very little to show meaningfully in the end?
Well, first of all, this one candidate against BJP is, to my mind, it's a theoretical idea. If you see, in almost about 300 odd seats, there is already one candidate against BJP. So what you can achieve is probably additional 100 seats where you can cut down on some parties' vote share by 10, which is getting 10%, 15%, which could add to the advantage to those who are fighting with BJP, but I'm not so sure about it. So this whole idea that any alliance would ensure one candidate against BJP is largely a theoretical idea. Because say in Bengal, in Uttar Pradesh, if suppose in Uttar Pradesh Congress fights alone and Sapa fights alone, Congress gets 4-5% vote. That even if you bring them all both together, nobody knows for sure that that vote gets added. And even if it gets added, the margin of BJP victory in Uttar Pradesh is probably more than that. So I don't see, purely from the mathematical point of view, putting one candidate against BJP is a great idea, or it's something that can be the game changer. Practically, it's already happening in 300 seats, like in all Hindi heartland, most of the Hindi heartland, it is Congress which is taking on directly the BJP. So it's already 1-1. In West Bengal, it's TMC which is taking on BJP. It's already 1-1. In Uttar Pradesh, it is Sapa taking on BJP. Last time even BSP was in alliance, so it was already 1-1. So in Maharashtra, this India alliance is already in alliance together. It is going to be 1-1. So purely 1-1 is not going to be the game changer. As far as India alliance is concerned, I don't think this one effort on the part of opposition parties are going to be sufficient enough, at least not what we have seen till date, to defeat BJP. BJP is well ahead, to my mind, as of now. And if India alliance has to do well against BJP, they have to do dramatically something very different, something which probably we have not factored in right now. And also within India alliance, it is primarily the Congress which will be taking on BJP in more than 250 seats. They have to do very well in those 250 seats. If they get the strike rate of 30-40%, then only BJP can be defeated.
No, so what
unless
can be
Congress's
that game changer?
strike rate against India alliance, I'm telling you, unless Congress's strike rate, forget about India alliance, the end of the day, unless Congress's strike rate vis-a-vis BJP goes above 30%, there is no chance for any alliance against BJP, because it's Congress which is taking on BJP in 250 odd seats. Last time, Congress's strike against BJP, vis-a-vis BJP, is less than 5%. Please take note of this. Whatever MPs Congress has won last time, they have won in Kerala, there was no BJP. They won in Tamil Nadu, they were not fighting BJP. They won in Punjab, there was no BJP. So bulk of the existing Congress MPs have come where Congress was not fighting BJP. So unless game changer is if Congress is able to defeat BJP where they are taking on BJP head on.
No, so what could that be? In a cricketing analogy, it almost seems as if it's Afghanistan versus Australia, and we usually know how that ends. If you were coach and strategist of the Afghanistan team at this moment, do you have a strategy or at least the outline of what you think could be a potential game changer idea which breathes some life into the moribund Congress?
No, Congress, the strategy, I don't know, I am nobody to suggest them a strategy. The biggest strategy they need to take on table is they have to first accept that they are moribund. The problem is Congress is never ready to accept that fact. Whenever I have dealt with them 2 years back, now I am no longer dealing with them, but they simply, so long you continue to refuse and live in denial, you are not going to get better results. The problem is not that there is no better strategy to take on BJP. The problem is Congress doesn't want to accept that they are moribund and they need to do things differently. Exactly what I told you in Madhya Pradesh. BJP, despite all their might, they realized that they made mistake in Madhya Pradesh and they made the amends this time. Congress, despite the fact that they are moribund, they continue with the same strategy, same policy, same narrative, same chat, same approach. So obviously they are not going to get any advantage of it. So if I can give one piece of advice, I would say, please accept that your organization in the large part of Hindi heartland is all but dead. Unless you accept it, you cannot make corrections.
That is a very important point, that accept that there is a problem, because the problem is staring you in the face. It keeps coming back to bite you, and yet the Congress at this moment doesn't seem to want to accept that. One of the ideas that's been thrown up this week is the idea of making Mallikarjun Kharge, the current Congress president, the prime ministerial face of the India alliance. Mamata Banerjee and Arvind Kejriwal have both suggested this idea. Do you see there is some traction there in this attempt to try and stitch the Dalits, the Muslims and some other communities together, depending on which party is in alliance where, but basically by projecting Mallikarjun Kharge as the prime ministerial face to take on Prime Minister Modi?
Well, Rahul, I'm a believer that if you do something right or wrong, it would have some impact. Say when India Alliance called themselves India instead of calling themselves UPA, definitely there has been a chatter, there was a buzz, but they stopped there. Similarly, if they announce a face, whether it is Mr. Kharge or somebody else, definitely it will add some more zing to what they are trying to do. But the irony here is that Mr. Kharge's name was proposed by Ms. Mamata Banerjee and Kejriwal. His own party did not necessarily back the idea. Mr. Kharge is the president of Congress. So if it would have proposed by Mamata Banerjee, Arvind Kejriwal and backed solidly by Congress, then it would have got merit to discuss. I do agree that if Mr. Kharge is made a prime ministerial face on the part of India Alliance, it would definitely add some, it would give some advantage to India Alliance because he is a tall leader, senior leader. How much, that I don't know, because he is from South India. And largely the battle with BJP is in North and the Hindi heartland. But definitely, rather than having no face, if you would have a face, it would have an advantage.
No, but can you try and quantify this? If you were strategizing this decision, what would be the vote share gain that you potentially attribute to the decision, if it's taken, of appointing Mallikarjun Kharge as the prime ministerial face of the India Alliance?
Well, any decision, if you appear to be tentative or unsure in taking that decision, it is not going to give you the result. What I'm trying to tell you, that when they formed the alliance, they have not been decisive. They are still struggling with the seats, narrative faces. When they are announcing the name, then there was only one moment then where they all appeared united, which was that was on renaming UPA to India, and that gave them the advantage. All over India, people are talking about the alliance being called India. But after that, they have been tentative on every strategic move, be it narrative, be it a common minimum program, be it seat sharing, be it the face. If Mr. Kharge or anybody else for that matter,
who do you think is best suited to be the prime ministerial face, Prashant? Who do you think is best suited to be the PM?
Hear me out. No, I'm not here to do that. I am making a strategic comment here. Whoever you want to present as a face, it is important that you are decisive about that decision. In the case of Mr. Kharge, it again appears that some two important allies have made the suggestion, which is not necessarily backed fully by Congress. Mr. Kharge himself almost immediately backed out.